heard Mick Armstrong.
Hello, George.
How are you today?
Very good, thanks. Very good. Big, happy, bold, fun.
What was little Mick like? Because I can imagine you doing one of two things: either really playful, like really fun, or just teacher's nightmare. Everyone absolutely hated you. I can imagine one of the two extremes.
I was a likeable villain.
Yep.
I would say. I wasn't a villain. I mean, that's probably a bit. Impit and fond, my nanny used to call us, which is a very northern term for being cheeky.
Yep.
You impit and fond, you're impit and fond. So I was always a bit cheeky. I was always outspoken. And yeah, I think I just like having fun and making people smile, and for the people make me smile, then I'm happy as Larry as well. I sort of becoming more and more keen on rugby, I suppose.
Cool. And so I kind of assumed you sporty question, or sporty kid, so I just wanted to like touch on that. Do you have any sort of other hobbies and stuff as a kid, or was it just mainly sports? And
I was very fortunate that my father let me try out judo, karate, I did ice hockey, football, cricket. I tried everything, and it was rugby was the one that I was drawn to. Very competitive, but I'm also quite vindictive when I'm in the sports field. And people who've played sport, I don't mean that nastily, but I'm quite ruthless, and I will do anything to win in that controlled environment. Yeah. I'm not saying that I would do that outside, but in a controlled sport environment, that's what's so great about sport, is that you can be this other person on the sports field, as long as you don't forget that when you step off it. Yeah. And it's a great release. It's a way of not when I play sport, even now, it's for that 2 hours you play sport, you think about nothing else other than sport, and it's really therapeutic. I don't really agree with our educational system. It's too linear, it's too right and wrong, and life's not about right and wrong. And I've gone and done a master's now, so I'm educated now, if you want of a better word. And it is, everything's, kids are told that they can't fail, whereas success is built on lots and lots of little failures. I went to Loughborough University. I left uni and I went to work in London as a quantity surveyor in the Square Mile, in the city centre.
Just check, because I've genuinely got no idea what actually is that, because I've never heard of that term before.
Somebody who basically buys packages of work like an accountant in the construction industry, and then writes contracts. It's very blue collar, white collar, sorry. And I had a great time at it, but it was not something that I could see doing for the rest of my life. So I did it for a few years, jumped around a bit, and then I got an opportunity to go and play rugby in South Africa and France, which I jumped at the chance. So I did it, and then I got injured when I was 28, which kiboshed the rugby. Yeah. I snapped my ACL and MCL, which are your ligaments in your knee, which hold you the sturdy of your knee. So half of my knee's not held together, which is why I'm here now, is because that injury was made a lot worse by wearing the wrong footwear, i.e. flip-flops. I used to live in them, and they made me get a limp in my leg, and I literally changed the way I walk. I wasn't walking like a normal person. So over the last 5 years, those injuries I've been trying to put right.
Going a bit on the more dark side of things, just mentioned it there. So with the injury, so what actually happened to cause it? So as you know, sports is a million things, but like...
It was basically, I had the ball in this arm, and I stepped forward, and there was two people stopped this leg from moving forward, and two people grabbed me and pulled me over the top. So this leg opened. Imagine snapping a chicken leg. Yeah. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, I sort of imagine, so like if the leg was like that, that's the knee, person there, and then just sort of sideways, but actually legs aren't supposed to go sideways. Yeah, I can imagine it might have been quite painful.
I felt it pop. I felt it reverberate to the body.
Yeah, no thanks. That's why
I had a couple of operations, and they weren't successful, so that my career ended. It was painful, but it's just that you can't run properly. You're basically running when the ligaments are not holding your knee together, so you're constantly going over and making it worse, so that's quite frustrating. Yeah, and so if I'm jumping ahead a bit in your path, just something that Phil ties into this, so is this sort of like what led you towards wheelchair rugby? So that's something nowadays you're quite passionate with. No,
it's always just coincidental.
No, it was just a friend of mine who tragically had an accident and broke his back, and said there was no wheelchair rugby club in the northeast, and I said I'd give him a hand, and it was my friend Leith's idea, and he just said come along and help, and I've just been there pretty much every week since, and I'm on the committee of the chairman now, which so there's a bit of responsibility. Yes. And when you take a job, you've got that steady income, haven't you? When you're sort of an entrepreneur, which I hate that word, but I can't think of a better word.
And so
it's that. You know what I mean? It's up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Yeah, but it's exciting though. I've had more failures than most, I'll tell you. I've lost millions, man. Made it and lost it. Yeah, and it's like a bumper stick. You've got to enjoy the journey, and I remember reading that. Enjoy the journey. You've got to enjoy the what they're talking about. Enjoy the journey, but it's like you can set these goals and targets and milestones, and if you're not happy until you reach them, then you're happy for that instant second when you reach it, and then you're not happy until you set the next one. So you've got to try and enjoy getting up to it.
Yeah, sort of living the moment.
Which is really a bumper sticker, and it's really sort of like hippie-esque. But I do get it now, and I'm not saying I'm a hippie in any way, shape, or form, but you have got to enjoy the journey.
Like the environmental aspect become such an important part for you?
Well, I've always loved sort of nature programs and reading about weird and wonderful animals and how they're unique and how intelligent they are. So I've always been fascinated by our blue planet, for want of a better word. And it was probably in my late 30s and 40s, I was really watching a lot and reading a lot about our natural environment and how we were killing it, basically. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to work it out. And I just thought to myself, well, I've been one of these people all the way up until I was 40, till I had a midlife crisis in my 40s. It was one of these people like, I'm not going to recycle, I'm not going to do that, somebody else should do it. And I realised that that's a wrong attitude to have. I've got to try and prove that there is a way of making sustainable part of business. So that's become my challenge, is to try and prove that if you put sustainability into the fabric of the brand, it just becomes another challenge. And I wanted to make a product. I've always worked in the service industry, and I always wanted to make a product something tangible, something that you could touch.
Yeah.
And footwear was my bane of my life. I couldn't find any beach footwear on the market, and I've tried them all, Birkenstock, Havaianas. I paid £300 for a pair of custom-made flip-flops, believe it or not, which fell to pieces in, I think it was 4 weeks. So I tried everything on the market, and I was just like, I want to make a pair of beach footwear that is comfortable and like wearing trainers, but open to the air. And it sounds really easy, that, doesn't it? It's a piece of cake. I nailed that in 6 months, 5 years later, 51 prototypes. Now I'm really confident in the product, especially with all the reviews from the testers have come back really well. So I wanted to make a product, but I didn't just want to make a product, I wanted to make the best product I possibly could. So that wasn't just using what I knew, it was about going out and getting the best brains, the scientists, the academic specialists, the engineers, to bring it all together to make footwear that loved your feet and supported your feet, didn't damage the planet, and hopefully we'll make a profit. If a small little brand like SeaPigs can make a sustainable product that the customers love and at a profit, then why can't the rest of big business? So
exactly.
that's my sort of motivation every day, is can I prove it? Can I prove that you can? And if I can, everybody else can.
Yeah.
And they've proven that sustainable circular economy models are actually more profitable long term for businesses. However, it does take time and investment to get to that point. And the trouble is that our big business is all about shareholder value. And if you say you're going to invest £1 billion in sustainability over 10 years, or 200 billion, your shareholders are going to lose profits, and that means they're going to sell those shares, and the shares are going to drop. So it's the system at the top doesn't work. Short-term decision making is the worst. You should always be looking for long-term decisions, and our governments make short-term decisions which have dire consequences, but they're not in power when that comes out.
Yes.
And so I want to go out to university and prove that I could be an academic and write, and learning to write again is bizarre. Like having to write an essay or write that you haven't done for so many years. I found it, I loved it. Absolutely. I mean, I jumped in with both feet. I treated it like a job. I was working 60 hours a week at it. So just smiling at somebody, you make yourself and them feel better.
So that's Mick Armstrong in a turtle shell, and that's also going to be the caption for this now, just because it's going to confuse people.
That's good.
So unless there's anything else you want to mention, I think that we should call it there for the interview.
Thank you very much, George.
Noise, thanks for being such a great conversationalist for this.
Cheers, buddy.
And thank you for making it to the end of this apparently very long video. We only tended to be a 10-15 minutes. So for all the links below, if you are interested in more about SeaPigs, Mick's got plenty of blog posts about his life and experience that goes into a lot more depth than we covered here, but I think half an hour is more than enough. And you can also read our ebook, which is the work of Mick that we even discussed there, but there's also another interview about that, all be linked below. So go give it a watch, treat yourself, have a nice afternoon watching our faces, because why not? What else you got going on? So take care, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you later.
Bye from me, bye from George.